Here we are, Rodney Parade, the magic of the FA Cup.
Every year, the FA Cup throws up an underdog story.
Crosses into the middle, back header, it's a goal for Newport County!
But this year, it turned the most unlikely of clubs into national heroes.
Scores!
Because by rights, Newport shouldn't even have a football team. "30 years ago, Newport County had ceased to exist. Their ground was closed down and everything, even the team kit, was sold to pay debts.
Lot 103, the large quantity of black armbands.
It was a group of ordinary county fans who brought the club back to life.
Finish the trap!
Dragging it up from the very basement of British football. Along the way, they had to fight one of the most acrimonious battles in Welsh sporting history, all to bring football back to Newport.
All we want to do is go home. Is it too much to ask to play football where we belong?
This is the story of how a David and Goliath battle off the pitch allowed the league's least likely Giantkillers to take on the richest club in the world.
Here we go then. Newport County playing the Premier League champions, Manchester City.
The preference for the habitual drinkers in what is known as. The green glass tunnels can be avoided if you take a route straight through what is
Newport County Football Club plays in the bottom division of the English Football League and has done for most of its existence. It's hardly ever been the beautiful game. Each week, 3,000 die-hard fans turn up to cheer them on. And to groan.
But he's in on goal. This could be surely it. Oh no, he had a chance here. That really has got to go down as the most amazing miss.
Newport rent their ground from the local rugby team, and you can sponsor a player for 90 quid. This is a scrapping team for a scrapping town.
Newport is... There are not many places like Newport. I mean... Oh, there you go. There's an example there. There's always something going on. Not necessarily something you pay to see, but you will see something. Newport's an outsider, you know. It's just hanging in there, it's doing its own thing, and every now and then it pops its head up and says, I'm still here, I'm still doing it. It was incredibly rich at one point. You know, people came here to make massive amounts of money and then left when the industry fell out. And then the people left behind kind of formed Newport as we know it now. Is Newport a crap town? Yes. There's nothing wrong with being crap. It could have just become a car park for Cardiff. But it's always managed to hold out. It's very defiant. And I think that's shown through the football as well.
County, dead and buried 2 months ago, have done it.
A new football season begins. Unlike many small clubs, Newport County find themselves on the financial breadline. Thoughts here are as much about survival as winning silverware. This is a club that is owned by its fans, where everybody pitches in.
As soon as some of the supporters have seen the very attractive leisure wear that the first team wear, people are snapping it up. We got onesies, all stuff for the children. We've even got dog coats now. We've had 2 deliveries of dog coats. Both went straight away. Hopefully then we'll have another line of dog leads, dog bowls. You name it, we'll get the county crest on it. Right, the only extra larges we've got now. Since I retired, I was asked if I could volunteer 1 day a week in the club shop. That snowballed to 2, snowballed to 3, 4, 5. There's a lot of volunteers working for the benefit of the club, the shop, the ticket office, programme sellers, and I think really without the volunteers, the club, I don't think, could exist in the Football League.
Thank you. Bye.
The financial returns that we've got since we've been open in August, well, you could probably get Sergio Aguero's left boot. But, you know, to a club like us, it could be a centre forward, a midfielder, defender, half a squad, a whole squad.
For all the struggles, though, Newport County fans are grateful just to have a club to support. Over the years, survival has been a constant struggle, and never more so than in the 1970s, where our story begins.
The last couple of weeks must have been a tremendous battle for you personally, under great pressure. How do you relax? I know you have a very full-time job, but how do you manage to relax?
In my little office, as it were, I've got an organ which I sometimes sit on and play. One perhaps I can play you now just to finish, and you may enjoy it.
Newport County Football Club has been around for over a century, almost all of it at the grittier end of British football. Sometimes they finished rock bottom of the league, the worst professional team in England and Wales. This should have meant relegation to non-league football, but that depended on the say-so of the directors of other clubs. Something Newport were wise to.
The directors made sure that when other directors came to the club, they were well looked after. Now, there was a good reason for doing that, because if we were in trouble, you could count on them. People say, we have a great time at Sumton Park, they look after us, and they vote you back in.
It was the welcome that some of these club chairmen got to Sumton Park that kept Newport in the league quite often, because they had a great time.
It wasn't unknown for visiting directors to be carried out the boardroom, such was the hospitality. Yeah, it was legendary.
Newport's combination of cheek and tenacity eventually saw their fortunes change on the field. In the early 1980s, they went on a run of form that surprised even their most optimistic fans.
This was commanding football, and Newport were now well on course for the 2 points which would guarantee them promotion.
County won promotion to the 3rd Division and bagged the Welsh Cup, earning them a place in European competition. Newport were off to the continent, or to communist East Germany anyway. But bitter experience had taught them not to get their hopes up too much.
How do you expect the result to go?
Well, I hope 2-0 defeat. That'd be nice.
In fact, County managed a heroic draw against Carl Zeiss Jena. But sure enough, they were soon out of Europe and back to the harsh realities of lower league football. First, they were relegated back to the 4th Division. But much worse was to follow.
Newport have been propping up the 4th Division for virtually the whole of the season. They're now 11 points adrift.
In 1988, County finished bottom of the 4th Division. With relegation now automatic, they were dumped out of the Football League. Unless something changed, the very existence of the club was under threat.
These days, in modern times, clubs look for foreign investors. Well, Newport County had one turn up on their doorstep.
This millionaire called Jerry Sherman was insisting that he'd take over.
You know, this was like a gift from heaven. An American investor.
On the streets of Mayfair, Jerry Sherman cuts an imposing figure as he wheels and deals.
He had the gift of the gab. He was brilliant.
Of course, we've got to get a league to play in. We've got to get a park to play in. You know, little things like that. But we'll sort something out. One way or another, anything I've ever set my heart and my mind on, I would accomplish. And I know that I'll accomplish this.
Newport County were groaning under the burden of debt. Their ground, Somerton Park, had been sold to the council to raise cash. The arrival of Jerry Sherman seemed to be the answer to the club's prayers.
There were some extraordinary stories of the team being taken to Chinese restaurants in London before and after games. Sometimes they stay overnight after a game, as I recall.
Soon, though, the facade began to crumble.
How much would you say you've put into Newport County?
Almost 200,000.
Out of your own pocket?
Cheques bounced, bills were left unpaid, and angry creditors began to pursue the club through the courts.
Well, turns out to be a Walter Mitty character. The cheque was always in the post, never mind what was coming up, it was going to be fine. His people were on it.
What happened after that? A demise.
By February 1989, Newport County owed over £1/3 of £1 million. The club's biggest creditor, Newport Council, applied to have it wound up.
How do you think Jerry Sherman's going to be remembered in Newport?
He eat the bloke now. What he's done. Let everybody down. All the supporters, all the players.
What do we say? £5 for this one? £5 for it? £5? That £4 to start it then? £4?
The final indignity for Newport County was the sale, at auction, of all its assets, from trophies to corner flags.
Lot 103, the large quantity of black armbands. What do we say for them? Must be worth something. So £1, must be worth £1 note to someone.
Really, it struck home then just what had happened. It was the death of a football club.
At £1 going down, £1.74.
And it left a vacuum. It left a vacuum for the supporters, and it left a real hole for the city of Newport.
Did you think this day would ever come?
Never. Saddest day of my life.
What's it like seeing all these things being sold off?
Heartbreaking supporters there, the good supporters, and people from outside.
Newport was a town without a club. And so, the story might have ended. But behind closed doors, a group of fans full of the battling Newport spirit were plotting an audacious escape. Midway through the 2019 season, the Newport County spirit isn't hard to find. But the season itself has taken a very unexpected turn. As well as the league, County are competing in the FA Cup and, having come through the early rounds, have drawn Premier League giants Leicester at home.
Come on, let's have a score.
In the good old days, County had a way of levelling the playing field when big teams like West Ham came to town in the Cup. using typical Newport inventiveness.
The manager, he did a bit of a job on West Ham United. He took the light bulbs out the away dressing room. He took the toilet rolls out the loo. He didn't even give them proper balls to warm up with. They were all deflated. We could hear them arguing and calling us for everything in the other dressing room. And Len almost went 1-0.
These days, the spoil sports of the FA insist on fair play. So if County can beat Leicester, it'll be a feat of giant killing to take its place in club legend.
2-1 County. I'm on, first goal scorer. Confident? Confident, yeah.
The last time I forecast a game, I said we were going to beat Yeovil Town 4-0, and we ended up losing 6-0 at home. So I don't want to preempt it, but, you know, I won't sit on the fence anymore. I'm going to go for a 1-0 win to the county.
For the chairman, though, this is all about financial survival.
It's not easy running a League Two football club. It's the most bizarre industry ever, where 2 months of the year you don't have any income, but at the same time, you've got to pay out all your wages. There's no doubt about it. At times, like most clubs in our division, you are sailing close to the wind. I think as directors, sometimes you watch games differently. Obviously, you want us to win, but you're also thinking, if we win this, it means 250k from TV revenue and everything else that sits around side of that. So it's great for the club, but it's great for the revenue in the club as well.
The stage is set for a David and Goliath clash. For 90 minutes, the eyes of the football world will be on Newport.
We are all set to go as Newport County look to down a Premier League club, not just any club, the former Premier League winners of just over 2 years ago.
They're off. County are out the traps like 4th Division with bits. And after 10 minutes...
Wilmot attacks Fuchs. Oh, he's got good pace. Crosses into the middle. Matt Heller! It's a goal for Newport County!
Bloody hell, they've scored! Now the County fans are in for some nail-biting. In the second half, sure enough, money talks. The Premier League pedigrees are back level. Oh well. It's just a case now, I suppose, of clinging on for a replay. But hang on. Wait.
Newport on the attack. Oh, it's a handball!
Penalty ref! Oh, Christ, I must shock and watch this. Did he score it?
Everybody looks at referee Chris Kavanagh, and that's the final whistle!
Oh, they've only gone and done it.
I still can't believe that we beat Leicester City in the FA Cup. This means so much, not just to the supporters, but to the football club. I'm sorry. I just can't believe that we have dumped a Premiership side out of the FA Cup in my lifetime.
Newport County have slain a giant to reach the next round of the FA Cup. And as is so often the case, nobody's going to fancy a trip to Newport. It's pretty good going for a club that not so long ago was dead and buried.
Somerton Park has been the home of Newport County since the club was formed in 1912. There's talk now of it being turned into houses.
You hear of sort of fans groups trying to resurrect clubs. Still, the journalist in me was always not quite certain how it was going to end, actually, how it was going to come to fruition.
A month after Newport County had ceased to exist, one last meeting of its supporters was convened. They had £400 in their kitty and had to decide what to do with it. The Answer launched an amazing adventure, led by the unlikely figure of a 51-year-old deputy headmaster from Groesfine.
And we all said, right, why not start a new club and to replace the county? We wanted a Newport side aiming to play in the Football League, even if it meant starting right at the bottom.
The new club was christened Newport AFC, and it was owned by the fans. Immediately, they had a problem to solve. The Welsh FA didn't regard Newport AFC as a valid club, meaning they would have to play Parks football. The club's answer was a drastic one: cross the border to England and go into self-imposed exile.
We got the support of the Hellenic League in the adjacent county of Gloucester. They were in the Football League pyramid and therefore offering the hope of progression. And that's what we wanted.
The Hellenic League was 4 tiers below the promised land of the 4th Division, but it was willing to accept Newport AFC. A very unlikely fight back had begun.
We're going to go back to basics here. We're going to go back, we're going to get players from Newport who want to play for this football club, and we're going to grow from there.
Newport AFC's players were all amateurs, coming to train straight from work. The starting 11 that they put together included a plumber, an insurance rep, a sheet metal worker, and 4 postmen.
We're in for 5:15, and hopefully I can finish the work by 9 o'clock. Then it's home for a quick bath, quick swill, what have you, and then straight off to meet the coach then.
Leading the ragtag crew as manager was former star player John Rello Relish, and even he didn't know what to expect.
It's a little bit unwise for me to say how well we'll do in the short term, because it's a new venture for everyone concerned. We really don't know the strength of the league. We're stepping into the unknown a little bit.
One major issue, however, remained. Playing across the border in England, Newport AFC had no ground of their own. The new club was only 3 months old, but unless it could somehow find a home quickly, it might never play a competitive game. In the 2019 FA Cup, Newport County are facing a long trip away from home. Having seen off Premier League Leicester, their reward is a 4th-round clash against Championship high flyers Middlesbrough. It's a match that's already being called the Battle of the Transporter Bridges. Well, by me at least.
Our bridge is better than yours.
It's been a 6-hour, 300-mile journey for over 1,000 county fans.
Floats it into the middle. It's looping. It's in!
And 10 minutes into the second half, they're wondering why they bothered. It's that Newport County feeling, handed down the generations. Losing against a better team, away from home, in the rain. It doesn't help that the borough boss is a Newport lad. He'll know all the dirty tricks.
One chance, all we want.
The clock runs down past 90 minutes. All over then. I think I'll go to the bogs before the rush.
Inside the last 2 minutes of the added 4. Breaks to Sheehan. Sheehan crosses into the box. Matt is in there. They break the goal. Newport County have got a dramatic equaliser in injury time.
Oh, that's better. Did I miss anything?
Yes! That's the final whistle, and the tie is heading for a replay.
I cannot believe this. I don't mind being busy in the ticket office next week for a replay. I am going to get myself absolutely shit-faced tonight. Brilliant.
County's last gasp equaliser has earned them a replay and put them in the draw for the 6th round of the FA Cup for only the 2nd time in their history. Bagging a big-name club here would be worth hundreds of thousands of pounds and feel like a victory in itself.
Number 12.
And Middlesbrough or Newport get the Premier League champions Manchester City.
Man City.
Oh, the champions, you know, of the country. It's what dreams are made of.
Just one game away, one of the giants of world football lies in wait for Newport County. In June 1989, all that lay in wait for the newly formed Newport AFC and its fans was uncertainty. They had a club legend as manager, a team full of postmen, and absolutely nowhere to call home.
My idea was, well, we've got a league, we've got a team, we've got a manager, so let's find somewhere to play.
Newport's directors hoped to share a ground with another team in the Hellenic League, so they worked their way down the list of clubs, starting from A. It wasn't looking promising until one fateful call.
We managed to find a club that we were able to share a ground with at a place called Morton in Marsh, 80 miles away from Newport.
And they said, "You know where we are?" I said, "I don't care where you are, we'll come."
Now nicknamed the Exiles, Newport AFC set out for their first home game. 85 miles away from Newport and in a different country.
Of course, Morton in Marsh, a sleepy little market town in the Cotswolds. It's a nice ground. There's a cemetery at one end, and the allotment end at the other. And there was a shed which served as a stand. I said, it's not exactly Wembley, but it'll do for a start. And the police were there in force at our first game. There were police dogs, I think there were even 1 or 2 horses. And by the time the third home game was played at Morton, there was just one copper on a bike.
Remember, lads, we're the away team tonight, OK? The average crowd in the Hellenic League is probably 80, maybe a couple of dogs. And we came out to about 1,500 Newport fans around the place. It's just amazing.
Back you go, Cocker. Up over there.
That'd be cool, that'd be cool. What time do you get home tonight?
11, 12.
Then up for work again in the morning?
Oh, yes, yes. If my boss is watching.
Newport AFC's makeshift side smashed their way to the top of the league. Video coverage was less Sky Sports, more You Been Framed.
We didn't win all our games, but we won more than we lost, and we were clear champions at the end.
Yay! Champions!
First of all, thanks to you guys.
And this was the end of our a magical mystery tour of the Cotswolds.
Following the team's promotion, Newport Town Council allowed them to return home for the following season. A now dilapidated Somerton Park got a DIY blitz from fans and players, and they were ready for a glorious new dawn in the Beezer Homes League South.
The day some never thought would come was there. Competitive soccer back at Somerton Park. Money changing hands, turnstiles clicking, fans filing in. 2,271 of them.
Getting back to Wales was one thing, though. Getting back into the Football League remained a very unlikely dream. In 2019, it's halfway through the league season. Newport County's next FA Cup game is fast approaching, and already the cup run is inspiring confidence at the club. In the January transfer window, new players have been brought in to bolster the squad.
Welcome to Newport Transporter Bridge. This is the icon of Newport.
Now there's a ritual they must complete with the man who helped to bring football back to Newport.
I just wanted to tell you two connections with the club. When Mr. Lysart built his steelworks there, he brought his workers from Wolverhampton to come here. Those Lysart's workers were, of course, Wolves fans, and they were coming to a largely rugby area, and they wanted a professional football club. So they started the first Newport County in 1912. So that's the first connection with the bridge and the club. The second is that when Newport County went out of existence in 1989, and we started a new club, well, that was our logo, and we took it all over the south of England, and it was always a talking point.
To be fair, I was quite shocked when I first saw it. I didn't know what to make of it in terms of like how did it work.
I just thought it was a pointless bridge.
So you're going to climb up it?
It's been a long day at training.
A week ago in the FA Cup, County snatched a late away draw against Championship giants Middlesbrough. Now Borough must face a replay at Rodney Parade on a filthy Welsh winter evening. The stakes tonight could hardly be higher. Win this game and Little Newport County will face a last 16 tie against one of the costliest and most talented teams in world football, Manchester City. Newport hasn't been this exciting since the Chartist riots. County couldn't do it again, could they? Don't tell anyone, I've actually put 20 quid on Borough.
Wilmot, found by a mob in a central area this time. Back in support, but Wilmot goes for it, and he's done it!
Unbelievable! Poundland beating House of Fraser. Some people think it's all over. Oh, if there were people on the pitch, I could do the whole... Oh! 2-0, that'll do.
And Manchester City are surely heading to Rodney Parade.
Full time. I've lost 20 quid, who cares?
Man City! That gets you more than money can buy. To see the look on the kids' faces, the adults' faces, the seniors' faces. I can't believe it. Manchester City, they're coming here. Unbelievable.
It just makes you feel really, really proud to be involved in the whole occasion. But also I think it shows how far the club has progressed.
Come on!
I mean, the whole atmosphere was just fantastic. In and around the city, you talk to people who run pubs, bars, restaurants, etc. from early doors. You know, the whole place was just absolutely bouncing. And I think that's what a football club brings to a city.
Manchester City are on their way to Rodney Parade. I just hope they've got sat-nav. By 1992, Newport County had been back from exile for 2 seasons. They were on a stable footing, and for fans, things were beginning to look up.
This is a very important announcement. Please, would the spectator on the pylon on the far side of the ground come down, please? Thank you.
Newport being Newport, though, trouble wasn't far away.
And we were establishing ourselves in the Peace of Homes League. But then, of course, the Football Association of Wales had the brilliant idea of forming the League of Wales.
We'll be meeting next week as a committee and we'll be starting to prepare detailed plans, because I have to say there will be a League of Wales in 1992-93, and obviously if we can we will have all the best teams in Welsh football playing in it.
We wished all the best for the League of Wales. However, it wasn't what we really formed for. Simply that. And we'd have lost, I don't think we'd have lost about 80% of our support overnight if we'd have said, we're going to go in with you.
Their view was, with the League of Wales, we're in Wales, we had to stay or go on the other side. So we did again. We had to go to Gloucester.
Almost unbelievably, the Exiles were cast out of Wales again. This time with 2 other renegade clubs. Home games at Gloucester City's ground were closer than at Morton in Marsh, but this was to be no happy repeat of the first season over the border. Gates were low, sponsorship hard to find, even die-hard fans losing heart.
All we want to do is go home. Is it too much to ask to play football where we belong?
It's a fiasco, isn't it, really? A farce.
Just 2 years after rising from the ashes, it looked as if the new club might be coming to a sad end. And so it might have been, were it not for one London-based fan who happened to come along to a game.
It was one home game at Gloucester, and at half-time I was in the gents, chatting as you do, to an old boy called Ken Thomas. And I said, well, Ken, explain to me why we're here. And he tried to explain to me, and I said, well, they can't do that, surely they can't do that.
Charlie Hopkins was a die-hard Newport fan and a hotshot lawyer. Looking into the matter, he calculated that Newport AFC could bring a legal case against the FAW. But he warned them that to do so would be unprecedented and an enormous gamble.
It's not going to come cheap, and if you lose, the costs will be such that you're going to go out of business. But you're going to go out of business anyway if you carry on like you are. So you have a choice. You either go down all guns blazing, or maybe you don't go down at all.
He brought him into the boardroom and we discussed it, and we all said, right, well, we got nothing to lose. So we went for broke.
Today, in their battle with the Football Association of Wales, the gloves came off. The clubs fielded a full first 11 to announce they were going to serve a writ on the FAW's solicitors, claiming restraint of trade.
We've exhausted all the other possibilities. We've tried negotiating with the FAW. We've approached UEFA. We've been in contact with the English FA. And frankly, there is now no alternative.
The case was heading not just for court, but for the High Court in London. Ranged against tiny Newport AFC were the Welsh FA and FIFA and UEFA, football's highest governing bodies. And the fight was getting dirty.
By the time we decided to take court action, it had become personalised.
The vice president of the FAW, he said we were no more Welsh than Gateshead.
We're just like Gateshead, we're not Welsh. Newport's not Wales anyway. There was all that kind of nonsense.
Finally, the day arrived for one of the most unlikely trials the High Court had ever seen.
Newport County definitely were very much the underdogs. It was David v Goliath, really. I must admit, I was sceptical the club would ever get going again, but then the longer it went on, you began to wonder whether, well, actually, the judge hasn't thrown this out immediately, so maybe there is an argument to be had.
It was just a very, very intense period. You were working 18-hour days, so by the end of it, it was a bit like having gone 15 rounds with Mike Tyson.
After 10 long days in court, the judge was ready to deliver his verdict. This was perhaps the most important ever result in Newport football's 8-decade history.
Jubilant supporters from Newport spilled into the London sunshine after the judgment, convinced their long battle with the Football Association of Wales was won.
Coming out of the High Court to a crowd of supporters was just remarkable. It was a bit like winning the FA Cup or something like that. Yeah, quite remarkable.
We stayed waiting for the results, and it seemed to take forever. And then when it finally came through, it just went mad. We were there all night.
I don't think anyone has ever taken a case like this against a football association and effectively defied FIFA, either before or since.
Two decades after their legal victory, Newport County fans were on their way back to London for another date with destiny. This time, their destination wasn't the High Court, but Wembley Stadium. The occasion, a playoff final for a place back in the Football League. This was the promised land that county fans had been dreaming of.
Just walking down Wembley Way and seeing county fans and faces that I've known for years, and it was just grins from ear to ear, and oh, amazing.
Manager Justin Edinburgh led Newport County out. Standing in their way were Wrexham, Welsh football's other perennial underachievers. Miss out, and both teams knew this chance might never come again. For 85 minutes, county fans bit their nails. Until...
Sandell clears down the left-hand side. Oh, flicked on by Yartel. This is Jolly into the box. Jolly to win it for Newport. Christian Jolly scores a £1 million goal for Newport County with just 4 minutes to go. And a quarter of a century of heartbreak could be just minutes from ending. Jolly looks for O'Connor. O'Connor could seal it for Newport. O'Connor shoots, blocked by Maxwell. Second chance, 2-0. Newport County are going back into the Football League.
Newport County ran out 2-0 winners. At last, the Exiles were coming home to League football.
We returned all those things that we'd set out to do back in 1989 that so many people were dismissing there was a chance of. We'd finally done it.
We never said how long it would take, and it did take 25 years. But we didn't know that we would be exiled twice and have to go to the High Court. And when it happened, I simply said when I was asked, mission accomplished.
When Manchester City came to Rodney Parade in the FA Cup, a team that cost £70,000 faced a team that cost £600 million.
So here we go then. Newport County playing the Premier League champions. They are 400 to 1 to win this.
County came close. But it was the multi-millionaires who finally broke the deadlock. And Newport Hearts. With minutes to go, County were 2-0 down. The dream of an upset was over. Or was it?
Into the box. He's knocked it past Edison. He scored! You just cannot keep this Newport County side down.
It couldn't happen again. Could it? Well, it didn't. But Newport went down scrapping and left the field like winners. Man City went on to win the FA Cup, but it was the underdogs who'd won the nation's hearts.
You get something big like Man City going on, it goes across the world. You know, football fans all over the place suddenly hear this name, Newport County. And that's lovely to see that just sort of kicking through and just being that little glimmer of like, we're still here, we're doing all right, and people know our name.